Hi, welcome to SMarketPlace. I'm Keith Reynolds, and this is C. We're your co-hosts for an hour of sales, marketing, and rock and roll.
Thank
Tom,
you.
welcome.
Thank you. We've had a nice little hiatus, and it's great to be back.
It sure has. And I sitting here freezing out in Denver. Our guest today is in Florida. I want to hear if she's got snow. It's been,
Hey,
hey, Karen.
we have no snow down in Tampa. It hit north, but it's very cold here for Florida. I think the iguanas are dropping off trees at this point.
And we have Mateo. Chris has been a regular, and welcome, Chris.
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here. Excited. I'm over here in the UK right now. It's not as cold over there, but I'm about to be in the East Coast, Connecticut at the end of the week. So I'm excited to see how cold I'm going to get when I get out there.
Cool. Well, Karen Vogel with us today. Karen has been a big supporter of the show. You were on with us for our live stream. So welcome back.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, it's been interesting to follow your journey this year, and I know you got some really interesting things in terms of market. Tell us a little bit about Started Up.
Great. Started Up is a business and revenue accelerator. What we do is focus on helping government contractors. We do some work with B2B and B2C companies, but primarily government contractors, helping them to basically do something new, break out of their norm, and look for opportunities to grow, generate revenue, and do it a little differently than every other government contractor out there. And we've been working with clients since 2011. I've got 30 years of startup experience with startup companies, launching divisions, launching solutions, products, services, you name it, or turning companies around. So what I've done is kind of package that up into Started Up, and we can really help clients to get to that, implement a new initiative, launch something, break into a new market, rebrand, and do it effectively, know when to fail early and know when to pivot and get to that goal that they're trying to achieve.
Well, that's how we met. We'd gotten involved in some events together, and then took a startup that raised money, did a huge launch together.
That's right.
That was probably one of the pinnacles of my career, was working on that.
And they were like the talk of the show, and no one knew about them.
Yep.
Yeah, for it.
Hey, Karen, take us back to 2005 or thereabouts, when I think that's when you started to do work with the government and start to unfold all the complexities and everything else that goes along with it. How did you come to start that sort of niche with the government?
Yeah. So it was actually in 2010, and I moved down to DC from Connecticut. And naturally, as I looked for job opportunities in the DC area, quickly discovered that it's a government contracting, market, and I should really look for opportunities there. So I joined a company that was a data analytics software company, doing business with B2B strictly. But they wanted to get into the government contractor space, doing business with the government. So I led a team to help win their first contract at the FAA. So that kind of gave me, my first foray into the government space, and then left that company for a nice opportunity to lead the sales and marketing for another government contractor. And so I joined there in 2012. And part of the reason I was hired at that other government contractor was the current president didn't want to do business as a government contractor as everyone else did. He wanted to bring a commercial B2B focus into this government contractor. And so he hired me to do that. And that's exactly what we did. We expanded their brand presence and connections and teaming partners so fast, and grew their contracts and developed new capability areas. And we did that all directly with the government. We didn't do submit proposals in to RFPs and hope we won contracts. 80% of the work that the contracts I brought in was direct with a customer, and then we just found a contract to kind of park it on. So that's how I got into the space, and I recognized pretty early on that government contractors need help because they are still traditional in, well, let's just submit to RFPs and hope we win. And you can't do it that way, but it goes beyond just having insight into opportunities and knowing people in the government. You have to build your brand. You have to expand your brand presence because contracting officers, specialists are looking for new companies. They're looking for innovators to fulfill contract requirements from their customers, the government. And so you've got to get in front of more of those people.
So there's an element of B2B and there's an element of and why is that? We've been talking about video. Why is that such a big element of what you're doing these days?
Well, a lot of government contractors and specialists and small business representatives, because they're trying to fulfill their, women-owned and HUBZone and veteran-owned and 8A requirements as well with contractors. They are using social media to find these companies. No longer can they just rely on the government database to go in and see if they can find companies. They want to find out who's out there, who's doing things, and they're using social media and the channels. And of course, the more you have content and video content that's viewed versus just a post, the more you're going to be recognized through those channels, that they want to connect with you. And again, it's really important to build your thought leadership in any market, right? And doing so through video content, through podcasts like we're doing, is so important to build that thought leadership. And that's what those contracting officers and even government people that are planning for a contract, they're going out there and searching who's out there, what do they want, and then they'll build the contract based on what they find.
So in how do you help small businesses who are off the radar screen when it comes to government contracting? How do you help them tell their stories? Video is certainly one. Yep. Are there any other means that you help them with in getting the attention of government contracts?
Right. So typically where we start is from their foundation, which is really their website. How are they positioning their company? 9 times out of 10, we do a process where we're really consulting with the client to kind of pull out, what do they really want to do? What are they really good at? How do they differentiate themselves in the market? And then we do a lot of rebranding exercises, repositioning of clients, whether that's a whole redo of a website, which a lot of times we do, or we're redesigning their current website or just messaging on it. But we want to position the company the right way. And what government contractors tend to do is they tell you what they can do. So I'm an IT vendor, we do help desk, or we do HR services, or we do financial management. Okay, so I look at them and I go, so what? So does 50 gazillion other government contractors. What do you do for your clients? Well, we help them to achieve their government mandate for reporting while reducing costs and time for their staff so they can focus on priorities for the CFO. Totally different story when you say it that way. So that's what we're helping in that repositioning. Then once we've got the repositioning and their differentiation and their messaging down, now we want to be able to tell that to everyone. And whether it's video content, podcasts, social media, email marketing, and events, we use all of those channels to get that messaging out there and tell a story. But it's more about, case study content. It's not just about promotion, right?
Yeah.
So, or they're speaking, we help them to possibly speak at industry events, kind of get out there and look at different ways to get their messages out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of those things message right now.
Yeah.
When somebody goes out to search, you're on YouTube, you may have received an email and you need content to be in concert.
Right. And, I've always used that where I'll search for the folks that I want to reach. And, I'll send, hey, invite them to follow. But they're not going to follow me if I don't have good content on the page. Right. So first you've got to build up that content. Then you can start to invite people and organically you'll start to get more and more people following. That's also important for when you're doing events, because all those leads from that events that see you, you should be following up with them saying, follow me, right?
Yeah. So
where people attend, in my talking with you, working with customers, they have an initial contact. There's no follow up afterwards.
Yeah.
So the government is notoriously complex. That's a nice way of saying it.
Yes.
My experience in the past is once you get an RFP, boy, that it can take months and months and months, if not years. But that's been a while. When you set the expectation with the small business in terms of timing, how do you set that with them? What is appropriate?
Yeah, so that hasn't changed. The complexities of contracting with government has not changed. It is a very complex and costly place to do business. So all the more reason that you have to understand that, plan for it, and you've got contracts that may take you 2 years to get. But on the flip side, the value is, instead of a B2B contract being a couple of grand, a little bit more for bigger clients, you could have a $50 million contract over 5 years, right? So there's a trade-off, but it takes you a long time to get there. What's really critical is, again, you better be prepared and know what's in that RFP requirements, because the reality is that contracting officers are not going to put the details of what the customer is looking for. And unless you know what those are and can address those in your proposal, you're not going to win. You might be able to, you might know the area, you might know the requirements that they're looking for, but they're never going to give you those details of exactly what that customer is looking for. So unless you're out there, unless you're talking to those customers, unless you're, and you have to do it before the RFP comes out, because once the RFP comes out, they're shut down. You cannot talk to the customers. So that's another key, is being upfront, knowing when they're going to come out for a request for information or a sources sought, so that at least you can throw your ring in the hat, and you can still talk to the customer at that point, and the contracting folks, and better understand it. But you've got to have that understanding before you go in with an RFP. There are some where it's just a straight bid and it's based on cost, but the margins are so small in that, and there are some government contractors that do well in managing those kind of contracts. But for most, it's very difficult to make any money on those.
I have a question.
And you're talking about the higher margin. Go ahead.
I have a question on the case studies that you've seen, like from a marketing perspective, and like how they've helped get them contracts and different things like that, doing video, doing different type of stuff. Can you kind of go into a couple examples of that?
Yeah, we have a great case study with our client in the financial management space, and they provide accounting, financial management, data analytics, visualization, and they really had, again, that generic email, website. They had, we do financial management when we first started working with them. So we first repositioned and redid their entire website, their messaging, kind of re-enhanced how they present their capabilities. And then from there, we've built out now content for them, a video, social media, and channels, and then really help them to get out in the marketplace through event strategy. And from the last event they did with an association of government accountants, their big event, which gets like 5,000 attendees there, they were able to draw people to their booth because of the pre-show marketing we did, because of the video content that we had that we incorporated into the marketing. And that drove people to their booth. They recognized their name. They had important conversations with people from the government. And ultimately, that led to them winning a brand new contract at a new agency. And it's really tough to win. It's one thing to expand contracts within the same agencies, because you have the past performance, which is really key for government, is, can you do this? Have you done this before for our agency? And so it's easy to do it within the same agency. This was a brand new agency, but they knew that my client could do the work because they had done it for them in another agency. So they were able to bridge that gap, know what was required in this contract by the customer, and then they won the contract. And it was quite a sizable contract. And again, most of these contracts are multiple years. So, they've got a nice runway now of revenue for that. Mm-hmm. And we're gearing up for next year's event to do the same thing and expand it even more. So that's a great case study to show how we kind of took this company that was, they were doing okay, flat, they were a little flat in their sales, but they had enough to keep going, and now help them to grow.
What are some of the things that you see are like the big things that contractors are missing from a content perspective or a marketing perspective that you think are, easy, quick wins for them to be able to take action on?
Yeah, great question, Chris. Everything. If you look at a lot of small business websites, they're not the best representation of a company. Most of the time, I'll go on a website and say, I have no idea what you do, or who you do it for. So that, and then they're just kind of behind the times in social media and using video content, even producing it. So I think this is so important to be able to showcase that you can put something together that's cost effective. And the other challenge we're up against with any small business is, they think it's going to take a lot of time. And, that's something that we help our clients to understand, that we're a partner. We're going to help them along the way, that we're only going to use their time that we absolutely need to. And we're going to prepare them so they can do this. And then we're going to leverage their customers and their team and everything else to produce more content. So it's not always the owner or the CEO or the president that we're dealing with that we need. But that will go out and get those other folks to create content and or create a podcast. So
so that's really the essence of the ROI, right? You just huge upside ROI.
Yeah,
it doesn't cost a lot of money, and to do this well,
right.
The fear, uncertainty, and doubt comes from the time that it takes. And so what we're talking about is really delegate that out. You can focus on your business, but this creates opportunities for you that you will not be able to have if you don't do it.
Absolutely. It's the same thing with events, right? On that side, having this content so that when you show up at an event, people already know you, right? It's so important to have this content, and we can produce great content for them leading up to whatever they're doing, whether it's a speaking opportunity or an event, or they're maybe just even attending an event. And that's so important in government contracting too, but it's the content and your messages and your posts and your what you're doing with that content before any key event. That's so important, and making sure that it gets out there and it's the right messaging, and then you're leveraging it when you actually get to that event.
And it's possible with a plan like you and I. Big project we did together a few years ago. People arrived at the booth knowing what it was, and they were excited because there was a good story to tell. We worked with the association, we had the PR. So it's like the air cover, so people know, and the place at the event is the target where you want people to and know what your message is.
Exactly. We're working with another customer who has an Army contract, and it was a program that was a continuation, but they are now the prime on the contract for the first time. And so we've been helping them to build this brand. They rebranded the name of this program, and it's for interns from colleges that are historically Black or minority to have opportunities to be an intern in the Army. And so we've now built this brand and trying to help get the message out that the government is a great place to have your career. And because a lot of students just don't even think about it, let alone think that it's a great place to be. They'd rather be in Silicon Valley and in these startups. But the reality is that's not maybe the best place for a career. You can be laid off, a lot of times. So we've helped them to build this. They go to career fairs to recruit these folks. And now we're at the point where we want to build content. So when they do meet people, these students, content is and video content is king for, younger professionals or students to draw them in, to educate them, to get them excited about this opportunity, right? So it's kind of an iterative process where we've got to, build the brand first, get the messaging right, and then help them to see, okay, here's like the next steps that you need to do, because right now their conversion rate is not as high as it could be because they're not nurturing these student leads that they have into, and educating them until they can actually have a conversation with them.
So to sum this up, before we move to who's your favorite rock and roll band these days, tell us what 30 seconds to work to sit with a CEO of a company that wants to up their game. What do you say to them?
Yeah, don't be afraid to try something new. And that's what we're really good at, and is doing a new initiative. And let us partner with you to help you to overcome some of the reservations you may have of doing something new. But, take a shot and we'll help you to get there to achieve what ultimately you want to achieve. Get your company name out there more, get it a broader recognition among agencies, get to the right people at the agencies like contracting officers and small business reps and the ultimate customer. And, and we'll help you to execute the right way to possibly win new contracts.
All right. So who are you listening to these days? Have you seen any concerts?
I actually saw Pentatonics on their Christmas show, which was unbelievable. I have always wanted to see the group. They were better live than you hear on recording or on television. They were fabulous.
I love them because they play music and they're so talented. It's like they're like the voice.
Yeah, no, they really are. They went from Wicked to, of course, holiday classics to ones I'd never heard of, to other songs. So, and it's hard to believe that they don't have music behind them, because it sounds like a full band. Or you just don't even.
Oh yeah, it's a full.
Yeah.
So one of the themes that we're always
that the way they harmonize together and everything, I think I equate that to what we're trying to do, is working together and kind of putting all these bits and pieces and parts together in harmony to help our clients grow.
All right. That's a great analogy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate being. We are glad that we could check in a year later to support you and work with you.
Yeah, my same thoughts exactly.
I think we got a lot more things to cover on the government contract side, and I'm excited to have you back on and go deeper on different elements of it and different things, because I know from my experience of trying to get into the game, it's very complex and a lot of steps and a lot of hoops to it. So you giving clarity and understanding and helping people find ways to get more opportunities in this space, I think is huge. And I think it's not a topic that a lot of people are covering. So I definitely recommend all the SMarketPlace fans and people out there in our universe to go check out what she got going on and tap in with this opportunity.
Yeah, and not only for people that are companies that are already in the space, but maybe there are commercial companies or people that work for government or now leaving the military, who are thinking about starting a business in government contracting. So certainly they should stay tuned for what we're going to talk about going forward.
And again, it's Started Up.
Yep. Website startedupllc.com.
All right. Perfect. That's the best way to get in touch with you.
Yes.
Okay, good. And Keith.
Terrific.
I just have one.
Yes, sir.
Related congratulations to you or to us is we're celebrating our year of podcasting.
Woohoo.
Oh, congratulations. Let's go. It's not easy.
It's
not easy.
Streaming.
Yeah.
It's gone by fast, man. We've had some incredible conversations with some great people like Karen over the year, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, pretty soon you'll be up by the Kelsey level,
learned
right?
We could only wish.
Well, we always learn something when we have our guests on. And Karen, you've been a great supporter, and we love Work Podcast as well, as with Chris and Tom. So come meet the Publio Studio team. You'll meet amazing people here, and we'll help you content and come up with strategies like this. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you and look for the shorts and posts. Like, think about this. I'll bet you, using our algorithms, that we can come up with some amazing stories out of this conversation, sharing that.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Sales
much.
Partner